I went on a trip. I went to Dublin, Ireland, and Edinburgh, Scotland. And of course, I had to bring home some books with me. I couldn't bring that many. I only do carry-ons and I had one backpack. Yes, I can do a backpack for 2 weeks. I was limited on space, which I'm very sad about because there were quite a few bookshops that I went to. One in particular at the end in Edinburgh, Armchair Bookstore. You should definitely check it out. It's a used bookstore and they had some really old classics there, like 1800s old. They're really expensive. But I did manage to snag one, quite old, not that old, but still old, but I'll get to that. So these all are specifically from a bookshop in Dublin called The Winding Stair. It's pretty small and quaint, but upstairs it had a wonderful restaurant that overlooked the river in Dublin, and it was just lovely. This one is called Dubliners. It's by James Joyce, who is an Irish author. So I wanted to take home a little bit of Ireland with me. I know he's famous for, I believe it's Ulysses, which is like a really big book. This I felt was definitely doable. It contains short stories. Northanger Abbey by Jane Austen. This one is just so pretty, I had to take it home. It has a quote on the back. I have no notion of loving people by halves. It is not my nature. I will admit that I have struggled to get through a Jane Austen book, but I'm determined to finally do it, or worst case, I do audiobook, which I've heard is very helpful for classics. Apparently these versions you can get off of a couple websites, and I got another one with a similar design. It is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and we have quite a few stories in here. This is kind of a dual purchase for both the boyfriend and I. So we get Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde story in here. We have the Merryman, Willowmill, Markheim, Thrawn, Janet, Owala, and the Treasure of Franchard. I don't know what any of those are about. We just got it for Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This is a book I have read, and I really liked the print of it, the edition of it. Who doesn't love a good paperback floppy? We all love good paperbacks. This is The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. I read this in college. Me and my English teacher hated each other, and he was even more annoyed that I actually enjoyed this book that he assigned us, because I don't know why, we just didn't get along. But I am in love with this story, and the ending of the story specifically is apparently created like this very big debate in the literary world about, was the thing that happened purposeful? Was it an accident? Was it planted? The way that Edith wrote it, you don't really know, and it's up to the reader. And so that was kind of like the fun thing we got to discuss in class. Edith Wharton's shattering novel created a controversy on its publication in 1905 with its scathing portrayal of world's wealthy and the prison that marriage can become. And I wanted to own a copy, and I think this one, it's so pretty. It has all the hats that women wore during that time. Penguin English Library Edition. We have another one like that. Do you see a trend? Frankenstein, Mary Shelley. Can you believe it? I've never read Frankenstein. I'm very excited. I went to a Frankenstein themed bar in Edinburgh. I loved it. If you are in Edinburgh, you have to go to it. Written after a nightmare when its author, only 18, Frankenstein gave birth to the modern science fiction novel. I read her life, well, a very quick Wikipedia version while we were in the Frankenstein bar. She had an insane life, very upsetting, and quite impressive that she wrote such a novel that still stands the test of time to this day. This is an Atlas of Tolkien by David Day. This book is beautiful. It was definitely my boyfriend that pushed me over the edge to get this, and I'm so glad that we did, especially because I'm a huge Tolkien nerd. It basically goes over every piece of land in Middle-earth. It has Morgoth, and it gives you like a nice little blurb breaking down. So like if you're watching The Rings of Power right now, having this thing is insane because you're gonna learn so much. Like it has the Balrog. This is the hidden city of Gondolin, fell to the might of Morgoth, the dark enemy. Like this is just insanely beautiful art. All these were from the Winding Bookstore in Dublin. And because they had basically filled up all my space, I could only get one book in Edinburgh. I can't remember the name right now of the shop, so I will put it on the screen. But there were a lot of cute bookstores. As someone who studied acting for over 10 years and did a Shakespeare play in high school, Shakespeare holds a very special place in my heart. And I found this teeny tiny book of King Henry VIII. It is quite old. It was published in, thanks to the kind permission of Messrs. Macmillan & Co. Limited, the text of the stage Shakespeare is printed from the Globe edition of 1900, which in general is that of the celebrated Cambridge Shakespeare. So I believe this was the actress that played this character, Miss Violet Van Buren as Anne Boleyn. Heaven bless thee, thou hast the sweetest face I've ever looked upon. Act 4, Scene 1. Little token of the UK is now sitting with me at home. It makes me very happy. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.